Hey there, if you're ready to take your mobile notary and loan signing business to the next level, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Sign and Thrive podcast with Bill Soroka, that's me, and friends. Let's go and get it. Hey everyone, as you're going out and getting it, remember that time is money. If you want to save 15 minutes per appointment and still stay in compliance and best practice standards for your notary journal, check out the Notary eJournal by Jurat Inc. It's designed to help improve your workflow and efficiency, and it allows you to capture signatures and fingerprints digitally right on your phone or tablet. This is the journal of the future. If you're ready to save time, money, and wow your customers, try the Notary eJournal for just $1 at notarycoach.com/eJournal. Thanks for joining us today on the Sign and Thrive podcast for notaries. I'm excited to introduce you or reintroduce you to my friend, the Queen of Apostilles. She's also a participant and faculty member at the Notary Business Builder Advanced Notary Mastermind, Judi Lawrence. Judi, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Oh, it's always my pleasure, Bill.
Yeah, this is a new venue for us. Last year, we had you on the Side Hustle Lounge podcast, and that was one of our most popular episodes, being able to talk about the Apostille Agent opportunity. And I want to talk about that a little bit too, because it's gained so much popularity just in the last, 12 to 18 months or so. And then also we're going to get a chance to talk about a unique perspective that you bring to the notary community, because you have a physical office location in downtown Philadelphia, right?
I do.
Yeah. Looking forward to, picking your brain about that. But let's start with the Apostille Agent opportunity, because it's before we started the recording, we were talking about this 12 months ago, 15 months ago. You were the only person talking about this. And now you've published the Apostille Agent Survival Guide. You've got your course at Lawrence Institute for Notaries, the World of Apostille Masterclass and Certification. Everybody's talking about the Apostille Agent opportunity.
Yeah, it has become a community, which was what I dreamt of, what my vision was in the beginning. It has become a community, and we have increased our educational level by leaps and bounds. Everyone kind of wants to be a part of it. Everybody wants to know what it's about. And it has morphed into, like I said, a community. And with my course, I have a study hall, which of all my ideas, and Bill, I'm full of ideas. But of all my ideas, I think that's the one that is most gratifying to me, because people come and they just talk about, to others that are learning at the same time. They talk about, what they should do or what they shouldn't do or what they maybe don't understand. And I thought that these study halls would last like maybe for 30 minutes. Sometimes they last for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And it is gratifying to me that people are taking this kind of an interest in the business, because it's a phenomenal business. You're right. I get emails from people that say, I've never heard of apostilles before, and now that's all I hear about. So can you tell me what is it? What's it all about?
Well, that's my next question, Judi, because there's 4.5 million notaries in the country, but the reality is that doesn't even matter when it comes to being an apostille agent. You don't have to be a notary public to fill this role. And that's the real cool opportunity I see here. We are credentialed professionals, so it's a really nice segue. We've got the criminal background check. We've got the document experience. We know how to navigate sensitive conversations and transactions, and a lot of those documents have to be notarized, so it kind of makes sense for us for sure. But there's a huge opportunity here for just about anybody with the professional capacity for it. Mm-hmm. So tell me, what is, or tell our listeners what the Apostille Agent does.
Okay, first of all, definition of an apostille. It is the cover that is attached to the document that is either authenticated or legalized, which allows that document to be used in a foreign country. And that is a simple explanation of what it is. There's more, there's more. I mean, I could talk for hours, but that's what it is. And the job of an apostille agent or an apostille facilitator is to get those documents to the right Secretary of State, the Department of State, the embassy, wherever they're supposed to go, and have them correctly notarized, have them in correct form, have the correct amount of money, use the correct order form, have the correct label, the return label, to do it all so that when the Secretary of State gets the package, the Secretary of State goes like that and accepts it. My dear colleague, Lori Ham, was on one of my programs a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying, and of course she says it better than I, but she was saying that they don't want to reject the documents. It takes time for them to reject the documents, and then they've got to put them back in the envelope, and they've got to send them back to you, and then chances are you're going to call and say, well, what happened? And then they've got to talk to you, and then you're going to send them back again, and they have to look at them again, and it's a whole process. So the important thing to learn is the process. And I'm probably not, maybe shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I see on Facebook University that people say, you don't need her training, not important. Just put them in an envelope, send them to the Secretary of State with a check, and you're done. And that is as far from the truth as you can get. You do have to know what you're doing. Is it any different than your first loan signing? It's not. I mean, I remember my first loan signing. I was absolutely terrified. I had all these papers, and I had put tags on them the night before, and I was driving to this person's house, and I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to go into this person's house, and I have their personal information, and oh my God. And then after 4 or 5 signings, I was like, yeah, I'll take 2 tomorrow. I can take 3. It doesn't matter, because anything that you do that you focus on and you put your mind to it becomes something that you know how to do. And I think that is the most important message that I would give to notaries or not notaries is, it is something new. It's new. And you've got to focus on it. You've got to learn your processes and your rules. And then you will be doing that the same way you do your loan signings. You'll be okay.
Yeah. I love where you're going with this because the reality is in our scenario here, the apostille process is open and available to everyone. The regular citizen could navigate this process on their own. But the challenge is, it's not all that crystal clear. And when you're not used to being in this environment, it can be really intimidating. So what we're doing is we're really kind of taking the hand of the citizen and walking them and guiding them through this, being a beacon of light. Mm-hmm. And what's the interesting thing and the fascinating thing with me is that if something's requiring the apostille or the apostille process, it's probably pretty important. Mm-hmm. If it's going out of the country, if somebody's going to go through that, they're authenticating the notarial act or that the notary was a real notary. that's an important document. So it's a disservice if we don't take that seriously. I mean, if you're going to do this, do it right.
You are 1,000% correct. You are 1,000 as usual. You are 1,000% correct. They might be adopting a child. They might be getting married. They might be taking a big teaching job at a university for a couple years. Young people do that now. Young people take advantage of opportunities now. They come in my office and they say to me, I don't have a wife and I don't have kids yet. And so I'm going to go to South Korea and I'm going to teach for a couple years, because if I don't do it now, later on, when I have commitments and business and all that, I won't do it. Mm-hmm. And so these are all, and of course, if you, I like to inject a little humor. The funniest part about it is they don't know what an apostille is. So they've been told by a lawyer or a guidance counselor or someone, you need to go and get these 3 documents apostille. So when they come to you, they say, I got to get something that starts with an A. and that's true. And they don't know what it is. So I tell the people that I teach, once you make them comfortable that you know what it is, once you make them comfortable and you say, I gotcha, you need your passport apostille or your birth certificate so you can get married. Once they feel that trust in you, that you know, that you understand the importance of it, they're never going to go anywhere else except to you. Mm-hmm. That is a fact. And I built my business on that. I did. I really did. On being able to say, just come down here and I'll explain everything to you, and we'll get you. Of course, that comes with doing it for a while.
Yeah, you gotta get out in the arena and start doing it, for sure. So we've mentioned before already, you don't have to be a notary public to do this.
You're not.
This is not a regulated industry necessarily. I mean, the apostille agent or the apostille process is different for every state, but there's not a special license or regulation for apostille agents right now, right?
There's not. It's not, the fees are not regulated. So the notary fee is regulated and the Secretary of State fee is regulated, but the travel fee and the research fee and the shipping fee and all those fees. Now, this is what I tell my people, my students, because I say to them, you cannot go back and say, this woman told me I could charge anything I want, anytime, anywhere, because you can't. But and I always say this, and I'm not saying it because I'm on this podcast with you. I always say Bill Soroka has an expression. It's called what the market bears. And that's where I became so enamored with that expression. And I tell them, you need to know. So for example, quick example, if I go to New York this afternoon and I want a bagel and a cup of coffee, $30. Easy. 28, 30. Easy. If I go to my little deli right here in Philadelphia, bagel, cup of coffee, $6. Easy. So you need to do your homework, and people need to set, what is the market bear in my area? What are other people charging? I can't charge as much as the person that's in New York City, and I know that because people just wouldn't pay it. So there is a fine line, and there is that important factor in knowing what does the market bear where you are. And then once you do that, I always say start a little lower. If everybody else is charging, just start, just go a little lower until you get a book of business. And then you can say to somebody, well, I've been doing this for 6 months. I do know. And I've done 3 jobs in China. So I do know. Go a little lower in the beginning. And that's, so when we say it's not fee regulated, it's not. but it's not, a free for all.
Right.
Go out there and just, I wish it was, but it isn't.
Yeah. And I think that's a really important point is you got to do some market research. It's just like another business, right? I think a lot of people who are listening or that you and I talk to every day happen to be notaries. So this just is another line of service or another line of revenue in their established business. But it's really could be just a business all in of itself. So you want to do that research, make sure it's viable, make sure there's a demand for it. And of course, make sure you have your expertise in place too. This kind of, how do you get more business as an apostille agent?
Well, I think right now, word of mouth, that's certainly right up there. But you have to find two things. You have to find people that are around you that use them. So you have to do some studying. Are you near pharmaceutical companies? Are you near, I heard of a guy in New York. I don't know him, but I heard that he found Korean and Chinese groups and he got them to let him come and talk. And I heard he's doing phenomenal. I think you have to be creative and you have to find out. And then you have to make sure that your website and your SEO, and I was going to say SOS, your SEO and everything is in place.
Yeah.
And that's very important because I tell people all the time, just because you took my course, so-and-so is not going to wake up tomorrow morning and say, I think Bill's an apostille agent. Bill has to tell them that Bill is an apostille agent.
Yeah.
And so, Google My Business and Google Word Ads and all that, they play into this. Because if you use SEO properly, and I know you have a course about that, and if you use SEO properly and somebody Googles apostille near me, you're going to come up.
Yeah.
That's a fact. I think we passed a point where we have to go to meetings every night with groups and the chamber and all that. I don't think that is as important as a real website presence. Do you agree with me?
Well, it depends on what industry. In this in particular, I would say absolutely. Because even more so than notary work, people don't need an apostille until they need an apostille.
That's right.
And especially when it comes to the general public. So your search engine optimization or your digital presence, I talk to a lot of your students. I talk to a lot of notaries around the country that are building this business. And it feels like 90% at least of their leads or their opportunities comes through their digital presence. So Google, if they're not advertising it on Google AdWords, it's because of their SEO. Having Apostille Agent, and Apostille, because people misspell Apostille all the time.
Absolutely. Right? Sometimes they don't even know what words you're looking for.
Yeah. Authentication, all those keywords, adding that in there, that's where the business comes from. And I'll also say, because you mentioned right before we started this leg of the conversation, you said word of mouth. And the word of mouth is actually really powerful too in the circles that use these all the time, like attorneys, universities. And I love that the international markets, those people who have their one foot planted in America and one foot planted in their home country. Maybe they still have real estate or a business over there or whatever it is.
Giving them a whole lot of money. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, and I just got a call this morning from a man, and he said, my wife and I are moving to Spain, and we have 6 documents, and we've got to get them apostilled. And they're not going to probably use me ever again because they're going to go off to Spain. But 6 documents is quite a bit of money.
Well, and then they're going to, here's what I just read an article that said, depending on the influence they might have in their family, when a couple moves to another country, inevitably they are followed by 2 or 3 minimum other family members or friends.
Isn't that interesting?
That is. And they're probably following somebody else.
You know, I can tell you that my phone rings and they say to me, you were recommended to me by so-and-so. You helped him 4 years ago. And I say, oh, absolutely. Come on over, you know, and that's it. It's any business.
Yeah.
I mean, I still get calls, and I don't do a lot of loan signing anymore. I was always loan signing. I don't do as much of it anymore. I do some, but not as much. But I still get a call and they say to me, you were in my house 5 years ago and you said that if we ever needed wills, I should call you. And so, you know, my husband and I, can we come to your office? It's word of mouth. That is why you must have how do I say this? I'm not everyone is alike, and not everyone is chatty, and not everyone has that vibrant personality. Some people are quieter. Nobody talks as much as I do, but
confirmed.
But when you go in there, you have to leave them with the idea that you are a professional, that you've tried to give them the best job you can, and that if they ever need anything, you'll be there for them. And you will get more business like that.
That's so true. You know, I have one of the things I teach is that you have 2 main responsibilities when you show up to an appointment. And first one is to expertly perform the duties you've been hired to deliver. Mm-hmm. And 2 is to lay the foundation for a relationship that even has a chance to survive beyond that one single appointment. Yep. And you do that by showing some personality and caring about the other person and being interested in them and being interesting when you talk about you. I think that's critically important so you can get these phone calls.
I do too. And I, like I said, I still get them. And I probably always will, because it's what I do. I like to make people think, because it's true, I do care about them. Yeah. And I do want to give them the best job that I can give them, whether it's apostilles or wills or whatever it is. You know, I don't want them to walk out of my office and 5 years later, they pull out a document and it was done wrong. And, you know, and I I try to do it right if humanly possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is a really good segue too, Judy, because you keep saying, "Oh, can I come down to your office? Oh, come on down, come on down." Most of us listening are thinking, "Oh, I'll come to you. I'll meet you at Starbucks. I'll meet you at your kitchen table." But you've shifted that conversation because you actually have a physical location in downtown Philadelphia.
I do.
So tell me more about that. How did you come to own a notary office?
Well, it was owned by at that time, 89-year-old gentleman who was a notary for many years. He did not have any computers. He did not have any no automation whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I think I was just telling people on Clubhouse, he used stick figures to see how many people came that day. So he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How many people came that day? He had no. I mean, the place looked like an old taxi cab stand. It was awful. And I made friends with him. I called him to see if he ever would need any help. And he was a very cantankerous old man. And he said, why don't you come visit me? So, I did. And we got to chatting. And that became a weekly visit where I would stop by and see him. And then one day he said to me, he always told me that I reminded him. He had 5 daughters. And he always told me I reminded him of his daughters. And one day he said to me, my kids and my wife, they want me to retire. And I think you should take over this space. And wow, that would be wonderful. But I guess I might as well. He didn't have anything to sell me because he didn't have a client list. He didn't have anything to sell me other than he had the name Center City Notary. That's all he had to sell me. He did not have one piece of paper that could, how today if you sell a business, Bill, they want to know like, how many clients do you have? Show us.
What's your revenue?
Your revenue? No, we didn't have any of that. We didn't have any of that. Nothing.
No.
So he asked me for an outlandish amount of money. And I said, thanks, but no thanks. And I guess what must have happened was he must have thought he could get it elsewhere because I didn't hear from him for about 3 or 4 weeks. And then he called me and he accepted my not outlandish offer. I took that place and I can't wait till you see it.
Yeah, me too.
And I took it and I made it pretty. And when you see it has these magnificent windows and he had them covered with black blinds. So we took the blinds off and we made it. And it was before the pandemic. And one of the things that we had was fish bowls of candy. And it became like the place where people wanted to come to get notaries. And I have a TV in there. So the news is always streaming and people come in and they like to chit chat and that's how it all happened. It is not a large office. You don't need a large office. If you want an office presence, you don't need it because you don't need 6 different rooms. You need a desk and a chair, and you need a computer and a scanner, and some niceties around so that I keep dog treats there because a lot of people come and they bring their dogs. And so I keep dog treats there for the dogs, So you make it a family business. And I want to tell you something. One of the other things that you do if you're building a business like that is you treat everyone with the same respect that you would like to be treated with. It doesn't matter if they come in and they're well dressed or they're not well dressed or they're white or black or green or yellow. It doesn't matter. You treat everyone with that same respect and that same modicum of kindness that you would expect someone to treat you. And I have to tell you that, sometimes people come in and they're not really happy. They had to come all the way across the street to get a notary and they couldn't find a notary and the bank said they wouldn't do it anymore. And they give you a whole thing. And then all you have to do is say to them, I'm really happy you're here. And I like what you're wearing, or I like, your nails or whatever. And you know what? When they leave, they say, give me a whole bunch of cards because I want to tell everybody because you're really nice. And that's what it is. It's called building a business. And, maybe I've said too much. I hope I haven't, but.
No, that's really helpful. And I love that you demonstrate the power of a compliment. Because that's a great conversation starter too, right? Some of us just panic when we think, oh gosh, we have to start a conversation here, but just finding something to compliment somebody on can really help.
Yeah. And sometimes not finding something. Sometimes a person comes in, they do not want to chat. They want to get their notary. They want to leave. They want to be there less than a minute. And those are the kind of people that you don't chat with. And they'll come back again and again and again because it was quick and easy and they didn't have to talk.
Yeah, it's like reading your audience, right? Like what is it that communicating the way they want to be communicated with?
That's the whole, we get people from all walks of life. And sometimes they want to talk to you. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes they want to get in, get the notary and get out. They've got other fish to fry and you're not it.
Right, exactly.
And that's okay too.
My friend Sally, she calls it, she's a trainer using the DISC personality profile, and she calls it the platinum rule. The golden rule is to treat others the way that you want to be treated. The platinum rule is treat others how they want to be treated.
Right.
And it's really served me.
It is amazing. But it works, I had somebody come in yesterday, and the first thing he said to me was, I just got out of prison where I've been for 42 years. And I don't know how I felt about it, but I smiled and I said, well, sit down. Let me see if I can help you. And I did help him with his notary. And he said to me, I was 19 years old when I went to prison, and I'm 62 now. And I said, well, God bless you. I said, I hope that, your new life is a good one. And he said he's going to get a job and he's going to make a good life for himself. And of course, all my friends last night were saying to me, now you have somebody in your office that's going to murder you. That's not true. I mean, I didn't even charge him because he doesn't have anything to give me. Yeah. But he said if he could get that one paper notarized, he could get a job. Awesome. And so he deserves the same chance that everybody else deserves.
Yeah, what a gift.
Yeah. So, and that's what happens when you're in the city and you have a walk-in business. You get everyone from politicians to everyone. And go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
No, I was just going to say, when you're in the city in September, I cannot wait to show you my little office, and I hope it's very busy when I show it to you, because you'll see how it is. I mean, it can be really jumping in there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Philly social for sure. So, question for you though, and this might be a little more kind of a rapid fire type question. Okay. Do you have employees that work for you?
I have one person who is an independent contractor. And she does work for me on a semi-steady, basis. She's
to make sure the place is covered all the time.
Yeah, and I did not have that until this year. I was able to do it all myself until this year, but this year I got so busy with conferences. And PowerPoints for those conferences, and Zoom meetings, and and marketing, and most of you know that I'm the self-elected president of the Bill Soroka fan club, and that takes time, and so I just felt that I needed some backup to. And also for someone else to understand how I do things, so that when I do go on these conferences, like we're going to Montana and we're going to Vegas, and then Amy and I are going to Ohio, and, someone that can be there that knows how I like things done and can do them the way I like things done. So
I think that's important too. And there's got to be, even though I'm not especially when it comes to solopreneurship and entrepreneurship, and when you're building a dream, I don't know how much balance plays into it, but at some point you've got to be able to know that you're not chained to your business or your job all the time, that you can take a little bit of time away if you wanted to.
I am not good at that. I am not a good delegator. I am not a good person to, I'm not good at any of that. I'm working on it. Mm-hmm. It's a work in progress for me. I have done it by myself for a really long time, and it's very hard for me to give it up. Yeah. It is. I'm honest. I mean, I tell Diane to do something, and then she doesn't come in the next day. And by the time she comes in the next day, she says, "Where's that thing?" Oh, I did that. I can't, but I'm working on it. I am, because I know it's healthy. I know it's important.
And it's what makes it even more difficult is when you love what you do. And it sounds like you love what you do.
I do love what I do, but I know it's not healthy to have only me doing it. But I don't know. I mean, I never had children. I imagine when you have children and you send your first kid to school, it must be traumatic, because it's like, this is like my baby.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult. That's the most difficult thing for me. But I'm getting there. I actually think I'm better than I thought I would be, but not good.
Always a chance for improvement, right?
Always a chance for improvement.
Okay. I have a couple more questions for you on your physical location. And this is part, I'm so curious about it because there is this part of me that while I absolutely love and appreciate that I'm mobile, I can drive anywhere, I've got the flexible schedule, there's still this little part of me that just really would love a physical location too. In fact, I rented some co-working space and I had really high expectations of it, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. So I have some more questions for you. You're in a city center, a center city notary.
I'm in a large building.
And you're in a large office building. So how many people roughly average do you think walk in?
Oh, a lot of people. I mean, not as much as before. Oh, before the pandemic, I would see 20 people a week alone just from the sheriff's office, which is on the 5th floor of our building. And I would do their assignment of bids. So they buy a property and then they assign it. And so I would do at least 20 assignment of bids a week.
Wow.
I haven't seen, those people aren't there yet because they're just not, I don't know if they're ever coming back.
Gotcha.
And I think that how do I say this? I think that the pandemic has changed people's work habits.
Yeah, for sure.
So people are working from home like 2 or 3 days a week. And maybe they come in the office like 2 days a week. And so it's different. And
so there's just less foot traffic, even just outside in downtown Philly. So they're not just stumbling upon you.
Right, exactly. Right. I mean, it's everywhere. Like the restaurants around here. Like I see where they used to open at 7 a.m. and close at 10 at night. Now they open at 9 and they close at like 7 because there's just less look, that's good foot traffic. The pandemic changed everyone's world. And right now we don't know when it's going to change back or if it's going to change back.
Yeah, it's true.
We just don't know. And Ron has something to do with that.
Remote online notarization?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think
sure it does.
I think so. Yeah. We kind of chatted about that before we started recording with immediate gratification and things like that too. But I also have been reading or following some interesting employment trends as well. There's more and more businesses are going to require that their employees come back for at least 2 to 3 days a week. So this will be an interesting couple of years, I think, as we transition back into that. I have another question for you though. So how do your customers find you?
That's very difficult to answer you because most of them, when I ask them, they say, I Googled you.
Well, there you go. Your digital presence, right?
They don't elaborate. They don't say, Yelp or because I'm not on Yelp, but Yelp, I'm a free person on Yelp. I don't pay for Yelp.
Yeah.
And they say, I Googled you. And a lot of people say, I Googled notary near me.
Yeah.
Or apostille near me. I have long since realized that very few of them are going to be very specific about where they found you.
Well, Neil, that's really all you need to know, right? Is that, okay, the work I'm putting into my SEO and my digital presence is working.
It's working. And I do think if you are able to get the word out that you're there, like a lot of people just know I'm there because I've been there for 8 years. A lot of these lawyers and people like that, their notaries aren't there anymore. So they're just happy if they can come somewhere and get a couple pieces of paper notarized. I think that's a big plus that I have. Yeah. I see on Sunday afternoon, I was going to the office on Sunday afternoon from 12 to like 3 or 3:30. And sometimes I see 10 or 12 people.
I'm so glad you bring this up. This blew my mind. Even out here in Arizona, how busy Sundays are for general or specialty notary work.
Sunday. First of because they panic that they have to go back to work on Monday and they didn't get it done. And if you can accommodate them on a Sunday, I don't charge extra for it. Some people think I should. I do not. I charge them the same thing on Sunday that I do on Tuesday. I do it as an accommodation to my clients. But the interesting thing, Bill, is that 98% of them, when they come on a Sunday, they say to you, "Oh, thank you so much. You're a lifesaver. I don't know what I would have done." And then I say to them, "Well, you can do one thing for me, and that is write a review and just say, this was a life-saving experience, Yeah. And I would say out of every 10 that I ask to do it, maybe one does it. So you are a lifesaver. They do walk out. They have their documents. I don't think they mean not to do it. They just go home and they get into something else, and it's not something they think about, which is why the QR code is so good.
What's the QR code?
Okay, mine's not working right now, but if you have a QR code and you can hold up your phone and punch into the QR code, and that goes straight to a review. So when mine was working, I'm waiting for them to come fix it. When mine was working, a lot of times I got them to do it because they were right there.
You're right there. Yeah.
And I would say to them, "Do you have your phone?" And they would say, "Yep." And I'd say, "Okay, just take it, put it right there." And they would do it.
Yeah.
But when you leave someone to their own volition, and probably maybe I would do the same thing. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, so here, and this is the rules when it comes to reviews, right? It's number one, ask for one. And number two, make it easy for them to give you one.
Has to be easy.
Yep. Has to be easy.
Because if not, you're not getting it.
I love that you even do that. Now, my question is, and this will wrap up here. This has been a great conversation as usual. Oh yeah, please do.
No, ask your question, and then I want to tell you one more thing.
I'm curious as to in all of your business, when it comes to apostille or even on the notary side of things, who in your network or what job title do they have? Who is your biggest referrer of business? Who sends you the most?
That's a good question. I would say the lawyers. I would have to really think about it, but just giving you a quick answer, I would say the lawyers, because if they've had a problem and you've been their solution, so if they've had a problem and you've been their solution, I think that they will keep you.
They stick with you.
They will stick with you.
Any particular specialty?
Well, I do a lot of estate signings for them, and another thing is wealth management people. Wealth management people are great if you can make a connection to them, because they need you.
Yeah,
and they need you, but again, they are going to put you in their contacts. And they're not going to call you every single day. So you have to build your business around enough of them that you have the volume, because they're not going to need you every day. I always say that about our business. Our business is tough because it's not toothpaste.
Exactly. That people only need a notary when they need a notary.
They need a notary when they need a notary. They need toothpaste all the time.
Right.
And I always say that. So I wanted to tell you one more thing about the apostille world.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you that I have launched Apostille Direct USA, and Apostille Direct USA is a courier service so that if Bill Soroka calls me and says, Judy, I'm in Arizona, but I just got this apostille job, and it's an expedited, difficult job, and it's for Connecticut. And I can say to Bill, okay, here's the number. The guy's name is whoever, and here's his number. And all you have to do is call him, and he will get this done for you because he lives 6 minutes from the courthouse. And I have someone in almost every state. I'm a couple states short, but almost every state. I launched it because the people were saying to me, I really want to be an apostille agent, but I live 7.5 hours away from the Secretary of State. So I said, okay, let's try and solve this problem. So we now have people that live pretty far away from the Secretary of State who can join this Apostille Direct USA for a whole $25 a year.
Nice.
That's the membership fee, $25 a year, and be part of the team. And so if Bill Soroka was the person that used the guy in Connecticut, 2 things I want to say. A, you can use that guy, or you can use that guy for the rest of time, and I don't care. And I also want to say that if you use that guy, you work out your price with him for helping you. I have nothing to do with it. All I am is the putter together.
You're like the Apostille matchmaker.
I'm like the Apostille matchmaker. Well, I'm going to use that. Can I?
Please do, yeah. Queen of Apostilles and the Matchmaker. I
am like the Apostille match. I'm going to use that. I love it. People are using it.
This is huge because what this does is it bridges the gap. So now you can live in, let's just say Strawberry, Arizona, and still build an Apostille agent business because you have an online presence, you have customers everywhere. Now you can connect to those service providers in wherever you need to be. If it needs to be in Sacramento, if it needs to be in Phoenix, if it needs to be.
It's as easy as could be. I had so much positive response to this thing that I couldn't not try it. It's different. I mean, no one else has done this. And I keep saying to them, we got to get the word out. So
I love it.
So that apostille agents know I'm no longer alone.
My dogs are going to start barking here, so we're going to wrap up here, Judy. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. If you're interested in learning more, visit Lawrence Institute for Notaries.com and check out Judi Lawrence. Plus, all the links will be in the bio. Thank you so much, Judy. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Sign and Thrive podcast for notaries, brought to you by the Notary e-Journal. Notaries all over the country, including California, Texas, and Florida, are raving about how efficient this journal makes their appointments. Here's what Paul has to say about the ID scan feature.
This is Paul from California. I'm a mobile notary, and I love using the Notary journal because it just saves me so much time. And I don't even need to worry if I'm spelling their name right or if I'm reading their numbers off their IDs wrong. The app scans it for you, and there's no human error here. It just scans it, has the dates already ready for me, and I'm good to go.
Thanks, Paul, for that completely spontaneous and unscripted testimonial. This ID scan feature, guys, is a secure way to quickly capture data from an ID without putting your client's information at risk. You've got to see it in action for yourself. Try the Notary e-Journal for just $1 and test out the scan feature today at notarycoach.com/e-journal.